is an ocean in a storm. You may wonder who I am and why I say this. Sit down, and I will tell you a tale like none that you have ever heard.
The Prince of Persia was really born as a 40-pixel high silhouette. You know, he was running and jumping and dodging traps before I knew what his name was or what his story was.
In the Montreal studio, with the core team and I, we began to work on a very first mock-up of what we thought the game could be. And when actually Jordan was here, and when he was watching what we had, the whole team, 7 core members and I, were watching himself watching the mock-up, and he was so flabbergasted.
I saw the enthusiasm and excitement and the new ideas that they had. I was convinced that they were really going to do something good, and I also knew that this was a project that I wanted to be a part of.
It's the story of a prince who tried to save the day after having himself brought chaos into a huge palace. His elf is in adventure by a young, mysterious princess and a magical dagger, but a villain vizier is after them.
Most people remember 2 points about the original Prince of Persia games: the prince as a human character and the fight game. So we started the game based on that.
We implemented dynamic loading in the game to enhance immersion for the player, to provide seamless transition between all the locations in the game, so the player really feels in the palace when he plays.
We exaggerated the proportions of the tower on the rooms to create a more immersive and spooky universe. The prince can interact with almost everything, so we had to justify the level design artistically.
We come up with something new, very sensuous, very immersive for the player. Not too dark, not too cartoony either. Something that feels realistic, but still is, I think the word is plausible.
This type of level design and interactions with environment allowed us to implement cinematography techniques with the camera. We have the free camera, fight camera, first-person view, and the alternate camera.
The sense of time is the main evil entity in the game that transforms the human into sand creature. For this creature, we wanted to have an organic and evil feeling mixing whispery voices and avoid living dead type sounds. We worked with Dane Tracks, who created most of our sound effects. All the rest was done here in Montreal. The music style had to fit the Persian look without being Persian music. We selected a mix between rock and Middle Eastern rhythm and melody with an Indian flair. We worked with composer Stuart Chatwood, who was also part of the band Tea Party. He used different instruments like an Indian tabla ensemble, some vocalists, and some string to create the diverse music we can find in the game.
The sand, why does it glow? I can tell you. Inside the hourglass is a marvel that no living man has seen.
We played a lot around with the idea of Persian ninja, acrobatic stuff. Basically, we came up with a character granted with a full range of movesets.
In animating, we use different principles, but the two most important were like strong posing to vehiculate like clearly what the character is doing, and also follow through, which is the way the animation ends and the way we stagger the end of the movement through the different part of the body. First, we start off by working the design of character on doing a paper sketch. Once we got a good design, we move on to 3D creating the skeleton. On top of that, we layer the polygon mesh and texture. And once we got a satisfying result, we let it age to see if it passed the test of time.
The Prince has more than 750 animations. It doesn't have 750 moves, but here we're talking about all this little transitions animation that makes the Prince switching from a behavior to another very smoothly. Basically, he has the biggest range of moveset in any action-adventure 3D game.
The Sultan's magnificent palace is inspired by the great tradition of Oriental art and architecture. The approach is pictorial and realistic, as depicted through the centuries. From medieval Persian illuminated manuscripts to 19th century French painters and the classic tales of the Arabian Nights. The youngest son of King Shahraman of Persia. Our hero is of medium height, slim, athletic, and not muscle-bound. He accidentally unleashes the sands of time and must use his wits and agility to save the kingdom from the catastrophe he has created. Faced with the bloody reality of combat, he outgrows his fantasies and realizes it is all about one thing: survival. His own, and eventually that of the girl, the kingdom, and the world. When the sands of time escape their hourglass, they swirl like a mist along the floor until they reach the nearest victim. The victim is consumed and transformed into hideous sand men and sand women. Every man and woman in this palace is transformed by this plague. Animals, like all living things, are powerless against the sands of time. When the sands of time escape their hourglass, they rapidly spread and swirl along the floor. Birds, scarabs, lizards, and even tigers, brought from India as a gift for the Sultan, cannot escape. They are engulfed and transformed into horrible sand creatures.